It gets in our system, and then no matter who, it don't just affect the person clicking the link.
That's correct.
It gives them,
So,
Well,
I tell them
they
we're
can
live,
grab your
it's already
email
been
from
live.
one of their
Okay,
emails and
guys,
use
we're
you,
live.
all that. So.
Tom, you're
Yeah.
up.
See what that's
Okay.
breaking the big companies just buying.
all right, we'll go ahead and get,
Absolutely.
we got 8 or a little after 8, so we'll go ahead and get started with this special meeting. We're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I know it's not on the agenda, but we always do. Pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Today's meeting is to look at 2 claims that were come in question. And one is for radio repair. It's for 2 800 radios that we keep, that the EMA office keeps for backups after the 2 were depleted. One was given to Telsey Police Department, one was given to the Sheriff's Office, and then we are keeping 2 so we're not stuck without radios. We have to have radios to dispatch. The other one is the FCC license for the Tell City Fire repeater, but has to be paid so we can page fire calls.
Basically secures those frequencies.
Yes.
Correct. Allows us to use those frequencies.
Yes.
It's an FCC charge to renew the license. It is for City Fire, which covers Tell City, Troy, and Hamilton.
Yep.
City Fire.
Yeah.
Now, some of the confusion may have come from where this is coming from. This is coming from the 911 funds, which the county council has complete control over, and we can't even give that power. We can't pass a resolution, ordinance, or form a board that dictates how that 911 funds are paid. That's strict. That is 100% of the control of the council.
Correct.
Okay. Now, part of that 911 funds was in their budget session, which it took weeks for the auditor to get together and then days for the council, that they paid. The dispatch costs were estimated. The dispatch budget come from Tell City, and a portion of that was paid through state 911, and a portion was paid lit PSAP, the public safety, the county general, city of Hamilton, the city of Troy, and the city of Tell City, and it all comes together to a total amount of $807,190, which exceeds the budget from Tell City by $14,848. The $14,848 is what is referred to as the reserve fund. That's in the process of being paid to Tell City, and it's theoretically beyond what the Tell City's projected dispatch cost is. Okay, and that's the reserve fund. What these claims are being paid out of are not that fund. They're not being paid out of that. They're being paid out of what the county has already budgeted for radio repair in the 2022 budget. And they budgeted out of the 911 funds, and part of the 911 funds went to Tell City for dispatch services. So they have to, it's a balancing act, and Pam, if you're been involved in this for 30 years, it is a process. So what fund that the county council pays certain things out of, and the state restricts what they can pay certain things out of, whether it be the county general, the lit public safety, and the lit PSAP, which is 2 different local income taxes. So much of that can pay, and then so much out of the general fund. but there has to be certain things paid out of the 911 funds that the county is responsible for to support the dispatch efforts. And one of them is radio repairs, and the radios and the repeaters, whether it be FCC license or the actual radios themselves, is part of the county's responsibility to maintain, so we can have dispatch services. Now, as long as what our job as commissioners is to approve or deny claims, as long as they are legitimate claims, and that's what we're approving, that they're legitimate claims and are coming out of the funds that the council has appropriated, that they actually exist. But we cannot dictate what funds the council takes their appropriations out of. I mean, that's really not part of our, we can make the comment as a public citizen during budget when the council approves their yearly budget. But as commissioners, we don't dictate the fiscal aspect of the county. We are the administration. We said, yes, this claim does exist. Yes, it falls under what the county council has done, and we can't restrict that. So just an explanation of what that is, and what the PSAP committee does advise on the reserve fund, which is what's left over from dispatch cost. They can advise on that, but that money is in the process of being Tell City will get that. The county, that won't be part of our appropriations. That's already been appropriated and is being paid to Tell City.
So what you're saying, Tom, if those radios would come out of that fund, that would be the advisory committee's duty to oversee that?
Yeah,
To send their recommendations to Tell City at that time. then.
right, they would advise Tell City, not
Yeah.
the county.
Yeah, so that's where
The
I
money
think-
is already at Tell City, or in the process. I mean, it's.
I think that's where the confusing is with this committee. What are their duties? And that is one of them that we just explained, with that excess money from the budget. That would be their duties to figure out how to spend that, to recommend. They don't have the final say, but they just got a recommendation.
And we don't, and the commissioners don't approve the claims that Tell City pays out of the dispatch funds. I mean, we approve claims paid personnel and, we payroll for county employees. We don't approve payroll for the dispatch center. That's Tell City, because they're given this lump sum of money to pay all that out of, and then we're done. We already appropriated the 800 or 488,000, and it comes from several different funds. But we already appropriated that and approved that claim. So that money is already given to Tell City, or in the process. I think there's a payment plan, which was explained last time, but
The first check for the first 3 months has been mailed to them.
yeah. So it's a monthly payment, but we already approved those claims. And rightfully so. So with that said, hopefully that explained that to people who were in confusion, that the reserve fund is not what is not appropriated to Tell City for dispatch services. It is what is appropriated to Tell City for dispatch services, and it may come out of 911. It comes out of the PSAP lit. It comes out of the the lit public safety, the county general, the city of Canton, the city of Troy, and Tell City put some into. That's what the reserve fund is what's left over that theoretically is not needed for dispatch. Now, if Tell City decides out of that $14,848 that they want to pay, and I'm just going to say, I see dispatch here and it comes to mind. So they say, okay, we're going to pay that out as a bonus to all the dispatchers. The committee can advise on that, but it is up to Tell City what they spend that money on. I mean, it's their money. But the advisory committee was set up to advise, on policy and any, how that the reserve fund is being spent. Now, but they also, the 780,000 change, or 792,000 is what they budgeted. But who knows, they have somebody quit, they have to pay extra overtime, that's why it's a budget, not a check. So there's cushion. At $14,848 is basically cushion for Tell City in case an unexpected expense comes up. And it may be personnel, and it may be, every chair in the place may fall apart and they need to buy $20,000 worth of chairs. That's being facetious, but that does leave cushion for Tell City so they can provide the dispatch service. Well, I mean, that's what the reserve fund is for, is unexpected stuff in the cost for Tell City to dispatch. The cost for the county's portion of dispatch does not come out of that reserve fund, correct, Steve? Right. If there's an unexpected cost of a repeater that, well, I'll use this last weekend for an example, the power source for the fire dispatch went out. I mean, and it was an unexpected expense. That expense was not the liability of the city. The county has to pay for that because that's what we're providing. And we need money back in reserve. Nobody knew that was going to happen on Sunday after, it was Sunday about noon, wasn't it?
It was the day of the fire.
Yeah. I mean,
Saturday.
huh?
I think it was Saturday.
It was the day I was working the ambulance too, because you were going to that and I was going,
Yeah.
but that happens, and we need reserves. So there's reserve built both ways. There is unappropriated 911 fund, but there is appropriated 911 fund, and that's the claim that's now. It's already money that the county council has appropriated and figured that they're going to need to pay out, and that's the FCC license for the Tell City Fire repeater, and then 2 800 radios that we keep to replace the ones that were broken. And we have to have spare radios. We always do have spare radios. Fact of the matter, I think Tell City's asking for another one now,
In the process, they're checking it out.
checking to see if they, I mean, and we provide it. I mean, that's, and they're not cheap.
And add to that, Tom, more important right now, and I would encourage Steve, if Tell City does take that extra radio, try to get another one, because with the supply chain issues we're having right now, we don't know how long the wait period is on things right now. It's not like it used to be, so.
The simplest
we need to
thing.
be on top of everything, and oversight, I know this, it's been questioned about this dispatch with oversight and transparency. Every state's the same, every county in Indiana is the same. Years ago, they put up a process to oversight. It's got to go through the department heads, it's got to be right, it's got to go to the auditor's office, it's got to be right before it even hits our desk. Then it goes to the council.
Then it's
What-
audited afterwards.
Yes. And what I found out with county government, the biggest surprise I had when I came on 9 years ago, how slow the process works. You see why it is slow, because all the oversight that you have to go through to make sure everything is in place where it needs to be. I hate to add one more item to that to slow it down, because a lot of things need to be paid, and we need it now, and it still takes a month to get it there.
Yeah. And I'm like,
That's my opinion on that.
well, Steve, what's in your radio repair budget? About?
About, I have to check, we've probably got a couple thousand left.
Okay, so say that that something catastrophic happens and you need $10,000, well, then it's going to go through the long process
Yes.
because it's unappropriated. But the council does appropriate enough so you can keep going on the day-to-day. Yeah, but it has to be spent on certain things. You can't buy gas for your vehicle out of that. It's just not allowed.
And if he does, it has to be a transfer, go through the process.
Right, but if it's paid out of that and the claim is, okay, say that claim comes to us and we miss it and we pass or we approve that claim, the state audit will find it. I mean, you can look up other state.
Pam would find it first.
Pam would find it
Pam
for
would have caught it
confidence.
before. Yeah, Pam would
But
have caught
if it goes past Pam, it goes past us,
Oh, yes, definitely.
then
Pam
the
would
state
probably
will find it.
before it even came to us.
Yes.
So-
Oh, yeah.
Right, I have confidence in that, but if it did,
The questions that I have nothing to do with what's being talked about. For one, I went to Pam and I asked her what are the line items that these would be put against, and that found out that there were 320.3,000 and then 320.4,000, which is appropriated funds by the council. Which, by the way, there is no oversight at that point because all that oversight has been done pre-hand.
right.
The only steps is that he spends it and we approve it. So there is no long process to that money at this point. So the only question that I had isn't even against that, whether there are appropriate expenditures. Matter of fact, there was 3 expenditures that I didn't even question. There was 3 other ones from the same fund that I said, go for it. These 2 here are basically outside of the dispatch, outside of the PSAP. 911 funds are being used for them. The only thing that I'm asking is that they go before that advisory committee, which I have 95% confidence both of these claims will be, yeah, do it, because it needs to be done. I want it to go before them because that adds a layer of transparency to a process that we know from last year has a lot of issues in the sense of confidence and trust. It's a way of actually healing that, of allowing that conversation to be made. And to me, it's a very small step that can be done. And
Well,
again, there's nothing that says if there's an emergency on Saturday, this Saturday, that we don't take care of it. Because we're going to take care of that even if we didn't have funds appropriated. He's going to take care of that because it's an emergency situation and we'll take care of it on the back end. That's what's going to happen. So again, if a repeater failed tomorrow, you're not going to let that repeater sit there for a month-long process.
That's why you have to have money appropriated to take care of
In the
that.
past, I would not have had a problem with going ahead and, from this point forward,
Yeah.
I'm reluctant to have any bills because I feel like they're going to be rejected, possibly rejected.
Okay?
And I'm gonna correct you or disagree. When you said that the one that we're talking about had nothing to do with PSAP or dispatch, you are absolutely wrong. You're and the reason why I'm saying that is, if we don't have a license with the FCC for the fire repeater, we cannot dispatch Tell City, Camilton, or fire department without that. So it absolutely has to do with dispatch.
Okay?
And we knew that expense was coming, $195 is what it cost to renew that, and that was part of the budget process. We knew it was coming, and it was already thought about. We also knew that, I'm talking about the 911 coordinator knew that there would be radio repairs and approximately whatever he budgeted for. And the council knew that too, and the council appropriated the money knowing that there will be expenses. And you put money in appropriated. Now, you can't just spend that money on whatever you want to. It has to be following those guidelines, and that's what we approve. But this absolutely has to do with PSAP and 911, because if it wasn't for this piece, then the person that calls 911 and talks to a dispatcher, and the dispatcher has to communicate with the emergency people responding to it, it's all very important parts of the chain. If they can't push that button and talk to that fire chief,
You're making an argument that I've made many a times.
well, exactly, but you just made the statement
Yeah.
that the radios and the radio license have nothing to do with PSAP or dispatch, and that's absolutely wrong. You made that statement.
Have nothing to do with dispatch, I should say.
Yes, you did, but it's absolutely incorrect. Well, with that said, and after, I want to make this a short but informative meeting.
And it may be that when he goes to the committee, all he has to do is ask, these are the appropriated line items. Or are you okay with them? And if that's something that they're willing to say, that these line items spend.
If he wants to, it's fine, but we cannot dictate that those have to be approved by any board. We don't have that power.
Yeah.
But using the power to,
And it's not an approval, it's.
yeah, but
it's a
you
conversation.
didn't want to approve right, but you didn't want to approve the claims, and using the ability to not approve the claims, I don't believe it's within our power, and it's not. These are legitimate claims, and they fall within what the money's appropriated for. That's our job, to make sure that it. Now, if this claim was something that wasn't appropriate, then we could deny the claims, because they don't fit what was appropriated and budgeted for that. And then we can deny that claim. No, that's not a claim. But these claims were what they intended for, and it was what our council had appropriated money for. They already said, yes, we know you're gonna need that money, and we appropriated it, and you need it, then it's in this fund, and to spend on those things, radio repair and radio licensing, just like we also, the council appropriated the funds from different funds to Tell City to provide dispatch services. Okay, we will see those claims. They will come as they're paid. They will come before us, and we will look at them, and it is our job to say, yes, we need to pay Tell City out of this claim, because that's the agreed upon amount between the two physical bodies, Tell City Council and the City Council. And as long as it's for dispatch services like the agreement, then we should approve those claims also. I mean, that's my opinion. And I don't know any argument why it wouldn't. Now, once those claims are paid to Tell City, we don't approve or deny how they spend those 911 funds, or they spend those funds, but it does have to be reported to the state. There's another layer that falls in there, that Tell City has to report to the state that the funds that they were given were spent like they were supposed to, and it's just like that they get audited just like we do. But now, if a radio repair that we know that's going to be there, or a licensing fee that we know is going to be there, and he pays them, if he wants, the 911 coordinator who is responsible for those, if he wants to talk about those at the PSAP committee, that's up to him, and I would encourage that. But my point is, we can't restrict paying the claims or approving the claims that they are talked about at the. I would encourage to talk about everything. I mean, and I've talked to you about that, Steve. All of it, if you want to bring it up to PSAP committee, that, okay, yeah, this is, just like anybody from the general public asks where 911 funds are spent, okay, you've always, yeah, here's how they're spent. It's a matter of public record. If you want to talk about it, well, Steve, do you think you really need to pay that licensing fee? Well, yeah, I should. If that discussion is made at the PSAP, that's fine.
That's my
but
argument.
We can't require it.
That's my argument.
Right, but we can't require it.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they now have control over those funds, because.
But
that's
you are
not
when you
true.
deny the claims.
I'm asking for it to go before them before I do it. Even if they said no, and I
Then
still
you're
think-
denying the claims because it didn't go before the board.
I'm denying the claims because I don't have their opinion yet, yes.
Right, and that's, in my opinion, that's wrong. Andy, you got anything to add?
Yeah, the only thing I'm worried about, if we open something like this up on dispatch, this is no different than all the other claims coming in. Will be somebody else come up and say, well, we need a committee to oversee the highway department, oversee the auditor's office, oversee the clerk's office. I think we're going down a slope that we don't want to go down, when we have to have somebody else's opinion. We're elected to represent Perry County, not Tell City, not the county, but all Perry County together.
And I've said that
All three of us
too.
are, even though we run a district,
And I've
everybody in
said
the
that
whole
to many
county.
people.
So that's where the buck stops here, and the buck really stops at the council. So we have gutter committee, it's us. And if people don't want us in here, every 4 years, they got that decision to make.
Yeah.
I think we're going down a place we don't want to. The state has put this in place for every county, how it operates. And I feel like the committee, when I look at this committee, and when I signed that contract right here, that mutual aid, I looked at that committee more so with issues coming from dispatch to our emergency services out here. If we have a communication issue, right now, we really don't have a place. We got people that complain that will come to the commissioners. This way, we got a committee set that I feel like that's their primary goal.
Yeah.
To help each other, help the county communicate, so the next 911 call, something doesn't happen like the last one. We've been really lucky. Everything's been professional, but nobody's perfect, and everybody can improve. And that is our job, when we leave this office, to make it better than we can. And the only way you're gonna do that is working together, and this committee that's their primary role. That's what I believe.
And
It's
over-
not to oversee the funding. We got plenty of experts to oversee the funding. The auditor's office, 3 commissioners, and the council.
And
I'm sorry, Greg, but that's how
It's
that's
just
my
one of
feeling.
it's one of the line items actually in the contract is to oversee funding. I know it's a reserve funding, but
That's what it is. Now, okay, I'm gonna be careful how I say that. Also in it, and some of the people that have raised, actually wrote it. So,
okay.
one line item is, nothing in this agreement shall remove any step from the process to expand the 911 funds from the state of Indiana, including the approval of claims by the relevant entity or entities.
Yeah, I wrote that.
Right.
You were talking about
Nothing in this
right?
agreement, meaning the PSAP committee. Now, reserve funds, and it also says in there, dispatch center, reserve funds, the dispatch center budgeted, but unspent funds remain that are available for transfer for other uses. That's the $14,848. And it does exist there, and there will be, I firmly believe there will be unexpected costs in the year 2022 for dispatch services. What they are, I don't know. They may be personnel overtime, they may be training. In today's world, who knows, how many people they'll have to train or hire, or hopefully that the dispatcher, that I'm not even sure if they're 100% fully staffed right now, but when they're fully staffed, that they remain fully staffed with the same people. I hope that happens, but in the real world, that's probably not going to happen. I mean, because there is a staffing problem no matter what you're doing, if you're making widgets or if you're providing emergency services. So that's why that cushion was put in there, and the advisory committee advises on how that should be funneled. It would not surprise me if there would be additional beyond the $14,848. I mean, that wouldn't hit me as a surprise, because sometimes there are unexpected, but that'll go to the council first, because they got the purse strings. So, anyway, I hope this explains, what the purpose of this is. I don't want to take anything away from anybody, any opinion of anybody's. I don't want, and the transparency, I wish people would have the confidence that it's there, because it is there. Everything is done it's done in public meetings. Then it's audited to death. I mean, our own auditor has always done a good job. Pam's been there, and before her, Connie has done it, as auditor, but Pam is still, so I got the confidence. And then now we've got Pam, Connie, who is the clerk treasurer, and she's also overseeing it, so we've got confident people. And then on top of that, the state audits it. And they audit the crap out of it. So, and that cost the county, by the way, state audits cost the county thousands of dollars. What was our last audit?
The last audit with the 2 years probably cost us over 30-some thousand.
That's what it,
Yeah.
so we even pay for those audits.
Yes.
We had to pay Which
additional.
included separately for the additional cost of special audits that we had,
Right.
that were asked for, yeah.
I mean, it's very transparent. I could pull up on my phone the 911 audits for any county in Indiana. I mean, I've done it before. And I've seen where expenses were not allowed in other counties. We haven't had any that weren't allowed, but, I mean, there was little things like salt and pepper shakers or salt and pepper was one of them. I mean, it's like they found that. You know, you can't pay for salt and pepper out of 911 funds. You know, and that county had to pay it back.
It was only a couple dollars, wasn't it, or even less than that?
Right, so it's thoroughly and openly audited. And I got all the confidence in the world.
I have all the confidence in the world, Steve. If I was in a fire, if I was in a wreck, if I was in a tornado, Steve would be the guy that I want by my side because I know he's gonna take care of everybody there. He is. That's just Steve. Everybody knows that, I think, in the county too. This has nothing to do with Steve. This has nothing to do with our normal processes in the sense that I don't trust them. This has nothing to do with those claims, me feeling like they're inappropriate claims. It has nothing to do with that. I just want the committee to start meeting. I want the committee to start looking at these kinds of items. I want it just to be an open discussion. That's all I'm trying to force with this.
Right, but forcing it by denying valid claims is,
And today, if that's something that I know is gonna happen, which I know that you're meeting the committee now, the committee's meeting on what, the 28th, is that correct? Do I have your word that you're gonna take some of these 911 things to them and actually present them to them and show them to them, just so that there's transparency?
Why would I not on some of these things?
I'm just asking.
To force these claims to have to go there. No, that's wrong.
yeah, over the weekend, there was the power source for the fire repeater that went out suddenly.
Yeah.
Okay, there is not time on Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon to have an emergency meeting.
And if it wasn't.
That's why,
If it wasn't
Roy, that's
appropriated
why,
money, there wouldn't be time either.
huh?
If it wasn't appropriated money, it wouldn't be time either.
But we're not appropriating that.
And there is and that's the claims we're talking
But
about.
if you lost a repeater, you wouldn't have enough appropriated money.
No,
No,
would not be.
but the claims we're talking about is out of appropriated money.
I understand.
Right, so it's the same thing that the repeater power source went out. That has to come out of appropriated money, and that's why you appropriate money there so it can be done on Saturday afternoon. And that's what these claims are coming out of, is appropriated money, and it's appropriated money and appropriate expenditures, and that's what we're looking at. Yes, we need the 911, we need the licensing fees to the FCC to be paid, yeah, that's legit. And we need the radios.
Backup radios.
Backup radios, I mean, and this is not new. So, anyway, I think we've explained it. Entertain a motion.
Love to make a motion to approve the FSC license, first off.
You made the motion?
Made the motion. to
I'll
approve
second that
one.
motion.
And I'll,
Call for a
vote for
vote.
that too. So I'll call for a vote. Randy?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
I also vote aye.
Okay. And I'll make a motion for the 2 radios.
Okay?
No, I won't second.
Okay, I will second it because I know that, and I'm gonna make a comment on that. I've worked this for 30 years, and if I don't have a radio, or a police officer doesn't have a radio to communicate with dispatch, we are in sad shape, and this money has already been appropriated. So I will second it, and the vote's 2-1.
No, you didn't call a vote.
Okay, I'll call for a vote.
Okay.
Randy?
Aye.
Greg?
Aye.
Okay, then I vote aye also. So it's 3-1, 3-0. 3-0. On the vote, Randy made the motion, I seconded it. The
Yes.
vote called for Greg was aye, so was Randy, and so am I. It's 3-0.
That was on the FCC license.
Both of them.
Both of them got a 3-0 vote.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, both of them got 3-0
Because I
votes.
thought first it
Just didn't want
was,
to
Yeah,
second it.
Greg,
I just didn't second it.
he just
Okay,
didn't
he just
second it.
didn't
I'm
second
sorry, I assumed that you were going, I apologize for
It's all
that.
right.
I assumed it, since you didn't second it.
okay.
Okay. All right, next meeting is the 22nd at 9 a.m. All right, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you these, don't you, Jim?
I'm going to the file, please.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I thought that was a copy.
Nope, nope, those are the originals.
I probably won't go to Buchan's thing today. I've got too much
Do I
to
hit that
do.
again?
That's what, man, I'm going, but I am going.
Okay, so I hit the other
Styles
stuff.
are
Is it, no, you need to hit, yeah,
Gals are
you need to
hungry.
finish that.
I fed them lunch
Finish
morning.
this out.